Dana Braja Janaranjana Yamuna Tira Vanacharya Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare Bolo bolo Krishna Hare Krishna Rama Hare Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna Krishna Hare Rama Rama Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare Jaya Radha Gokulananda, Radha Gokulananda, Radha Gokulananda, Shri Radhe. Jaya Sita Ram Lakshman Hanuman, Jaya Sita Ram Lakshman Hanuman, Jaya. Jaya Gaura Nitai, Gaura Nitai, Gaura Nitai, Jaya Gaura Nitai. Prabhupada, 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 Jaya Srila Prabhupada. Gaura Hari Bol, Hari Bol, Hari Bol, Nitai Gaura Hari Bol. Shri Shri Radha Gokulananda ki, Shri Shri Sitaram Lakshman Hanuman ki, Shri Shri Gaura Nitai ki, Srila Prabhupada ki, Gaur Premanande, Hari Hari Bol, Hare Krishna. So that was the bhajan, Jai Radha Madhav, and now we will have the evening Bhagavad Gita class given by His Grace Ajay Mukunda Prabhu.
Hare Krishna, everyone. We start with Mangalacharan. Om Jnana-timirandasya Jnananjana Shalakaya Chakshurum Militam Yena Tasmai Shri Guruve Namah Shri Chaitanya Manobhistam Sthapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kadamayam Dadati Swapadantikam Vandeham Shri Guru Shri Yuta Padakamalam Shri Guru Vaishnavamscha Shri Rupam Sagrajatam Sahagana Raghunathan Vitam Tam Sajivam Sadvaitam Savadutam Parijana Saitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Padan Sahagana Lalita Shri Vishakan Vitamscha Hey Krishna Karuna Sindhu Dinabandhu Jagatpate Gopesha Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namostute Tapta Kanchana Gaurangi Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Rishabhanu Sute Devi Pranamami Hari Priye Vancha Kalpatarubhyascha Kripa Sindhubhya Evacha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namah Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shri Vasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna. First of all, I like to seek blessings from everybody here, present here today, and those who are listening online, so that I may speak something of relevance and something that may inspire you, and also for my own purification. Namo Vishnupadaya Krishna Preshthaya Bhutale Srimati Bhakti Charu Swami iti namine Snigdha Cheta Supraneta Vagminam Cha Rasaplutam Prabhupada Prananomi Bhakti Charu Padam. Namo Vishnupadaya Krishna Preshthaya Bhutale Srimati Bhaktivedanta Swami iti namine Namaste Saraswate Deve Gauravani Pracharine Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Paschatya Deshatarine. Srila Prabhupada ki jai. So today we are reading text 8 of chapter 15 of Bhagavad Gita, and the verse is given on board there. The Sanskrit is there on the board. Shariram yadavapnoti yachapyutkramatishvaraha Gritvaitani samyati vayurgandhani vashayat. Anybody would like to read the Sanskrit? It's on the board, on the screen. Shyam Prabhu? Okay. Okay, we'll go to word for word. Shariram, the body. Yat, as. Avapnoti, gets. Yat, as. Cha api, also. Utkramati, gives up. Ishvaraha, the Lord of the body. Gritva, taking. Etani, all these. Samyati, goes away. Vayuha, the air. Gandhan, smells. Eva, like. Ashayat, from their source. Translation by Srila Prabhupada ki jai. The living entity in the material world carries his different conceptions of life from one body to another as the air carries aromas. Thus, he takes one kind of body and again quits it to take another. Purport. Here the living entity is described as Ishvara, the controller of his own body. If he likes, he can change his body to a higher grade, and if he likes, he can move to a lower grade, to a lower class. Minute independence is there. The change his body undergoes depends upon him. At the time of death, the consciousness he has created will carry him on to the next type of body. If he has made his consciousness like that of a cat or dog, he is sure to change to a cat's or dog's body. And if he has fixed his consciousness on godly qualities, he will change into the form of a demigod. And if he is in Krishna consciousness, he'll be transferred to Krishna Loka in the spiritual world and will associate with Krishna. It is a false claim that after the annihilation of this body, everything is finished. The individual soul is transmigrating from one body to another, and his present body and present activities are the background of his next body. One gets a different body according to karma, and he has to quit this body in due course. And it is stated here that the subtle body, which carries the conception of the next body, develops another body in the next life. This process of transmigration from one body to another and struggling while in the body is called karshati, or the struggle for existence. The living entity in the material world carries its different conceptions of life from one body to another, as the air carries aromas. Thus, he takes one kind of body and again quits it to take another. Lord Krishna has an incredible way with words. In the Bhagavad Gita, they are both poetic and profound, and verse 1 of chapter 15 is no exception. Krishna begins by describing the material world with a powerful allegory. He says that there is an imperishable banyan tree that has its roots upward and its branches down, whose leaves are the Vedic hymns. One who knows this tree is the knower of the Vedas. In the following verses, Krishna elaborates on the meaning of this allegory. Allegory means a symbolic way of explaining something. A banyan tree is unique in its appearance, capable of growing up to 100 feet tall, with branches that spread widely to form a dense canopy. It is common throughout India. What sets the banyan tree apart is its aerial roots, which descend from the branches and take root in the soil, eventually forming new trunks. From a distance, the branches seem to point downward, while the aerial roots appear to grow upward. Over time, the tree becomes a dense thicket, with its tangled roots and trunks forming a complicated network. Perhaps Krishna chose this tree as a metaphor because it reflects the way living entities become entangled in the material world due to their materialistic or fruitive activities. If you observe a banyan tree situated near water, you can see its reflection in the water, with its branches pointing downward and its roots pointing upward. This reflection serves as a symbol of the material world, which is a mere perverted reflection of the spiritual world. Krishna explains that this banyan tree represents the entire material world, with its branches spreading in all directions to symbolize different planetary systems. The upper branches represent the heavenly planets, the middle branches represent the human world, and the lower branches represent the hellish planets, home to demoniac beings. As all trees need nourishment, this tree is nourished by the three modes of material nature. The twigs of the tree are considered to be the sense objects, and the tips of the branches are the senses. Its secondary roots that extend everywhere binds the human society to fruitive activities. In this way, Krishna paints a picture of this whole material world within this allegorical banyan tree. And I'll be using the metaphor of the banyan tree as representing this world throughout my presentation. Then the obvious question I asked myself was, why has Krishna painted such a picture? To understand this, we must consider the title of the chapter 15, which is Yoga of the Supreme Person. The word yoga refers to the connection of our consciousness with the Supreme Lord, Krishna. In this chapter, Krishna is offering us an overview of how we can connect with him, if we choose to do so. Did you know that the world's population has now exceeded 8 billion people? Yet, despite this vast number, very few people seek to connect with God. Many who believe in God see him as an order supplier. They offer something to God and expect him to fulfill their wishes. More serious devotees may seek liberation from the painful realities of life, desiring to merge with Brahman, the Lord's effulgence. Only a tiny minority of people among the 8 billion genuinely wish to serve God with love. These are the true devotees. That is why Krishna says in Bhagavad Gita 7.3, Manushyanam sahasreshu kaschid yatati siddhaye yatatamapi siddhanam kaschin mam veti tatvataha. Out of many thousands among men, one may endeavor for perfection. And of those who have achieved perfection, hardly one knows me in truth. So you see, devotees of the Lord are relatively rare. This banyan tree, as a representation of the material world, has many living entities scattered across its branches. Those who perform pious deeds rise to the upper branches or the heavenly planets, while those with a demoniac mentality degrade themselves to the lower branches or the hellish planets. In other words, living entities move across the tree according to their karmic actions. When I visualize the movement of the souls on this banyan tree, my first thought was, they are like monkeys. Why monkeys? Because like the restless monkeys constantly leaping from branch to branch, our minds are similarly restless and distracted by desires. In Bhagavad Gita 6.6, Krishna says, Bandhuratmanas tasya yenatmaivatmana jitaha anatmanastu shatrutve vatetatmaiva shatruvat. For him who has conquered the mind is the best of friends. But for one who has failed to do so, his mind will remain the greatest enemy. That is why in Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 11, Chapter 23, Text 42 says that it is our mind alone that causes both happiness and distress, perpetuating the cycle of birth and death in the different bodies that we acquire depending upon our karma. Just as monkeys jump unpredictably from one branch to another, the mind is constantly distracted by desires, making it difficult to control. Arjun himself points out in the Bhagavad Gita in 6.34, Chanchalam hi mana Krishna pramati balavad dridam tasyaham nigraham manye vayo riva sudushkaram. The mind is restless, turbulent, obstinate, and very strong. O Krishna, and to subdue it, I think it is more difficult than controlling the wind. Krishna then replies to Arjun in the following verse, 6.35. Asamshayam mahabaho manodunigram kachalam abhyasena tu kaunteya vairagyena cha grihayate. O mighty armed son of Kunti, it is undoubtedly very difficult to curb the restless mind, but it is possible by suitable practice and by detachment. Thus, Krishna emphasizes that by practicing detachment, we can pacify the mind. In verse 3 of this chapter, Krishna instructs us to cut this banyan tree with the weapon of detachment. This detachment is a fundamental aspect of our philosophy and an important message of this chapter. Why? Because only when our senses are detached from the sense objects, our mind is able to focus inwards and remain in the equanimity or free from the distractions of external influences. Detachment allows us to cut our attachment to the material world and its temporary pleasures. This inner freedom enables the soul to transcend the cycle of birth and death and approach the eternal truth of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. But what causes attachment in the first place? If we revisit the allegory of the banyan tree, the reflection in the water represents the material world, while the real tree above the water symbolizes the spiritual world. The material tree is merely a perverted reflection of the spiritual world. Why is this? In the allegory, the medium of the reflection is the key to understanding what drives this material world. This reflection of the spiritual world is based on desires. Our unending propensity for various desires and lust are the cause of everything in this world. That is why the whole world is entangled. And coincidentally, in real life, a banyan tree also looks entangled. To escape from the cycle of material existence, one must understand this tree through transcendental knowledge, which Krishna imparts in the Bhagavad Gita. With this knowledge, one can detach from the material world. The tree is also enveloped by a mist, which represents the three modes of material nature that condition all living entities and keep them in ignorance of their true nature and the tree's true meaning. The tree, therefore, symbolizes samsara, the eternal cycle of birth and death. It becomes clear that, like monkeys jumping from branch to branch, living entities must leave one body to enter another. Death is inevitable, as it marks the transition from one body to the next. Ultimately, it is time that destroys everything, including the universe itself. That brings us to today's verse, where Krishna says the living entity in the material world carries his different conceptions of life from one body to another, as the air carries aromas. Thus, he takes one kind of body and again quits it to take another. What do different conceptions of life mean? It means that the actions and desires we cultivate in this life directly influence the type of body and abilities we will acquire in the next life. It means that you carry the aggregate of all your karmas into your next life. It means the decisions that you, as the Ishvara or the controller of your own body, make here and now determines your destiny. In other words, you create your own destiny and cannot blame anyone, least of all God, for the birth and the situation you are in this life. As the air carries aromas, what does that mean? A fragrance comes from a gross object like a plant, and then the fragrance floats. And then the fragrance particles float and move with the wind to a person who smells them. In other words, the journey begins from a gross plant, then onto a subtle fragrance particle, and finally to another person who smells it. Similarly, when a person dies, the subtle karmic impressions move with the subtle body until it takes residence in the next gross body on its onward journey. This is the transmigration of the soul. Unlike what many people in this world believe, that there is nothing after death. The subtle body consists of the soul plus subtle organs, the mind, intelligence, and false ego. This changing of bodies is explained in Bhagavad Gita 2.22, which says, Vasamsi jirnani yatha vihaya navani grinati naro parani tatha sharirani vihaya jirnaya anyani samyati navani dehi. As a person puts on new garments, giving up old ones, the soul similarly accepts new material bodies, giving up the old and useless ones. Then a question arises, on which branch does the monkey or the person jump to? Well, it is based on the aggregate of the karmas in this life and the previous lives, and on this basis, the stringent laws of material nature will force the soul to take another body. Whichever body it gets, it has to go through the 4 inevitable stages of life, which are birth, disease, old age, and death. Yet, we choose to go through this cycle again and again, even though Krishna says in Bhagavad Gita 8.15 that this world is dukkhalayam ashasvatam, or in other words, temporary and place of miseries. Isn't that the case? If we look back at our lives, those moments that we consider as happy or comparatively happy, they were few and far between. But more importantly, they were short-lived or temporary. In fact, in the previous verse 15.7, Krishna says that due to conditioned life, everyone on this tree is struggling very hard to maintain his existence. And Prabhupada refers to this struggle for existence as karshati in the purport. This temporary nature of our existence extends to the whole of the banyan tree. What's more, this banyan tree or the universe itself will be destroyed after Brahma's 100 years of lifetime. So you see, nothing whatsoever is permanent in this universe. Of course, as you know, Atma or the soul never dies. It is eternal. And when the universe is eventually destroyed, all the remaining souls at the time will revert back into the body of Mahavishnu. In this banyan tree, consisting of its heavenly and hellish planetary systems, can accommodate 8.4 million different species of life. And when one dies, he does not know which of the 8.4 million species of life he will enter. It is certainly not the case that because you are a human being in this life, you will get another human body in your next life. No, that is definitely not the case. If a person is really intelligent and realizes that this world is a place of misery, he will ask the obvious question, how do I get out of this tree for good and never come back? Krishna is very kind. He gives us this information and he says, what is important are the last moments of our lives. It is important because Bhagavad Gita chapter 8.5 says, Antakale cha mameva smaram muktva kalevaram ya prayati sarmadbhavam yati nasya yatra samshayaha. And whoever at the end of his life quits his body remembering me alone, at once attains my nature. Of this there is no doubt. And furthermore, the next verse 8.6 says, Yam yam vapi smaran bhavam tadjatyante kalevaram tam tam evaiti kaunteya sada tad bhava bhavitaha. Whatever state of being one remembers when he quits his body, O son of Kunti, that state he will attain without fail. In this way, you can clearly see how important it is to remember Krishna somehow or other in our last moments of our life. Because if we don't do that, we will have no idea where our soul will take birth again. It could take birth in any of the 8.4 million species of life, as the conditioned soul continuously passes through the different species according to his karma. Out of fear or being a morbid subject, most people generally do not talk about death or consider death in their lives seriously. So they do not know what they will do in their last moments of their lives. So what one does in the last moments before death is a direct reflection of what one has done throughout their lives. That means if you have generally spent most of your life with your mind in God consciousness, only then it is likely that you will be able to think of Krishna in your last moments. On the other hand, if most of your life is spent in the pursuit of sense enjoyments, then it is very unlikely that you will be able to think of Krishna in your last moments. Therefore, it is clear that what you do throughout your life will determine what you do in your last moments. And what you do in your last moments will determine what sort of body you will get in your next life. In other words, that will become your conception of life. As I understand it, the prisons in the UK have chapels where prisoners can go, if they so wish, to spend time for prayers, spiritual guidance, and activities. In other words, the chapel functions as a place for rehabilitation for the inmates. In the same way, temples such as this also functions as a place of rehabilitation. Why? Because this banyan tree is often considered as a prison house, and Prabhupada has given us Krishna consciousness as a way out of this tree to go home back to Godhead. In studying this verse, I found this chapter and today's verse particularly interesting because Krishna uses the allegory of the banyan tree to simplify the vastness of the material world and the planetary system. I found it much easier to focus on the world as a tree rather than discussing it in terms of various planetary systems. My addition of the monkey metaphor enhances this by reminding us of the restless nature of the mind. The key message in the verse is the concept of transmigration of the soul. For me, it serves as a constant reminder that we need to understand the transcendental knowledge Krishna imparts to Arjuna in the Bhagavad Gita. With this knowledge, we can detach ourselves from the attraction of the tree and surrender to the Lord. At the end of the Bhagavad Gita, in chapter 18, text 65, Krishna says, Sarva dharman parityajya mamekam sharanam vraja aham tvam sarva papebhyo mokshayishyami ma shuchaha. Abandon all varieties of religion and just surrender unto me. I shall deliver you from all sinful reactions. Do not fear. When we surrender to Krishna, He personally promises to protect us. However, as most of us know, it is not easy because we are quite attached to His material energy. Or in other words, we are so accustomed to living and enjoying in this tree for many, many years, many lifetimes. In the process of surrendering to the Lord, what do we have to do? Lord Shri Krishna gives the answer in Bhagavad Gita, chapter 9, text 34, where He says, Manmana bhava mad bhakto mad yajimam namaskuru mame vashyasi yukt vaivam atmanam mat parayanaha. Engage your mind always thinking of me. Become my devotee. Offer obeisances to me and worship me. Being completely absorbed in me, surely you will come to me. So there are four things He's saying. Engage your mind always thinking of me. Become my devotee. Offer your obeisances to me and worship me. These are the four things. This verse is the essence of the whole of the Bhagavad Gita. And if one follows these steps, then Krishna again promises us that you will attain Him. This verse is repeated more or less exactly in 1865 because it's so important. For me at least, detaching from material energy is challenging. But if we have a strong faith in Krishna consciousness, determination, discipline, and enthusiasm to follow this path, we can succeed in living this tree for good. If we show the endeavor, then Krishna, as the super soul and our best well-wisher, will shower His mercy on us and surely help us in our spiritual journey. Ultimately, we, the living entities or souls, live in this huge banyan tree, perform activities, and then enjoy or suffer as a result of those activities. All the while not realizing that we are actually like fish out of water because this is not our real home. Therefore, by cultivating detachment and focusing on and practicing our Krishna consciousness, we can transcend the material world and its entanglements. In other words, Krishna's message in today's verse, 15.8, serves as a timeless reminder that we belong in the spiritual world with God and not in this banyan tree. I'll stop here. Hare Krishna. All glories to Srila Prabhupada. Thank you for listening. I hope that made some sense. If you have any comments, questions, or your own realizations, please say.
You said we leave the banyan tree and go to Krishna. Where do we go on? Is there
The banyan tree
is the universe?
it's an allegory. Krishna in chapter 15, he's saying that this universe is a perverted reflection. So the real tree is in the spiritual world. Okay? This tree, he says, can be thought of this world. So he's saying this whole world that the Brahma created, the secondary creation Brahma has made, is within this tree. Okay? And the souls are going time and time again to this cycle of birth and death in this tree, in this samsara, in this world. So by surrendering, and what Krishna says in this verse 9.34, he says, engage your mind, always thinking of me. Become my devotee. Offer obeisances to me and worship me. Being completely absorbed in me. Surely you will come to me. Krishna promises us that. Through Krishna consciousness, you can do that and you can go back home.
So we will not be part of this material world and then we will move on to the real world, as you said.
Yes. This is a temporary world.
So is it outside the universe? Or?
Yes. Yes, this is the material world. The spiritual world is outside. Material world. Yeah.
Any material out there in the spiritual world? Or
No, everything spiritual.
everything spiritual? Yes. It's more like energy and knowledge, I guess.
Yes. It's the quality is Satchit Ananda, eternal knowledge. So eternity, eternal knowledge, and eternal bliss. That is the qualities of who we are really. That is the quality of the soul.
So there will be no material bodies or
No.
material pain, sorrows, or
No. But we will have our spiritual swarup, we will have our spiritual body. We won't know that until we have self-realization. The final step. When we have self-realization, when we leave this body to go to the spiritual world, we realize what our spiritual swarup is. Not the material, spiritual one. Is that okay?
any mention of what is spiritual swarupa?
That you will not know until you will come to the platform, the spiritual platform, and when you leave this material world, only then you will know. Until then, we won't know. Yes, Prabhu.
You say that Brahma has a 100-year lifespan, so are you saying that the universe will only last for 100 years, or
Yes.
the universe has only lasted for 100 years?
That is correct. The universe will last for only 100 years, but it's only Brahma's 100 years, not our 100 years. Okay? Brahma's life is 4,000. No, Brahma's life is 1,000 Chatur Yuga cycles. And 1,000 Chatur Yuga cycles comes out to, I'll tell you how much Brahma's lifespan is. His life is 311.04 trillion years. That's his lifetime. People who in the upper planetary system live longer and longer until right up to the planet of Brahma, Brahma's own abode. His lifetime is 311.04 trillion Earth years. Okay?
Out of that 100 years would be our universe lifespan.
Sorry?
So his 100 years would be our universe lifespan.
Yes. Any other thoughts or your own realizations? Questions? If there are no questions, then I assumed you all understood properly. Okay.
Prabhu, I got one question. So while chanting Hare Krishna Maha Mantra, what should we aim for?
What should we aim for?
Yeah.
We should aim for just to listen to the mantra. The way you speak, you should listen to it without any distractions. That way, the purification of the heart. When you're asking what is the aim, what are you thinking?
Maybe to connect to Krishna or to get into that spiritual level, spiritual body or something?
No,
To transcend things?
chanting Hare Krishna mantra is all part of Bhakti Yoga. It's an essential part of the Bhakti Yoga. It's just essential part, but there are other things in the Bhakti Yoga that you have to do as well. And gradually, when there is purification of the heart, because our heart is full of various anarthas, lust, greed, anger, things like that, so many things in our heart. That needs to be purified. And when you reach that platform, the Brahman platform, the transcendental platform, then you're able to see Krishna in the heart, super soul in the heart. But it's a gradual process. But the essential process, chanting the holy name is the essential process. Chanting the holy name is the way for our salvation in the age of Kali. A lot of people say that we need to do yoga and we have to do this and that. But chanting of the holy name, because when Krishna left this planet, he left all his potencies in the holy name. So his name and form, his pastimes are non-different. They're all the same. His name is non-different to himself. Of course, you have to have faith that that is the case. Prabhu, your thoughts? Oh, okay. Okay. Do you chant, Mataji? Okay.
My minimum is 4, but I'm trying.
That's fine. That's fine. Is that your objective of the day?
That's for the spiritual life.
Okay. Maintain the 4, but don't go down. If you can't maintain the 4, then bring the objective down to 3. But maintain that. Never go down. Maintain 4. Yeah? If you're happy and you are able to do more, fine, maintain that level, 5, but never go down. If you can't do 4 or 3, or then bring it down to 2 or 1, but keep an objective of 1. That regularity is so important, very important, being regular in your sadhana. Whatever you do, keep it regular, every day, without fail. Okay. If there are no more, I will stop here. Thank you so much for listening. Hare Krishna. Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Vanchakalpatarubhyascha kripa sindhubhyo evacha patitanam pavanebhyo vaishnavebhyo namo namah. Antakoti Vaishnavrind ki jai. Srila Prabhupada ki jai.
I was going to bring up the topic of distractions and how to make sure our mind stay away from that. As we discussed in the classes, it's about remembering Krishna.
Oh, you want to take some prasadam? Sorry? You stay, you're good. I'll have prasadam. Yeah.
Couscous. There's couscous as well. Sorry? Couscous.
That's my older one. And I was son. That's my older son. Oh, okay.
Jaya Radha Gokula Nanda Radha Gokula Nanda Radha Gokula Nanda Shri Radhe Radha Gokula Nanda Radha Gokula Nanda Radha Gokula Nanda Shri Radhe Jaya Sita Ram Lakshman Hanuman 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 Jaya Gauranitai 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 Jaya Gauranitai Jaya Gauranitai 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 Jaya Gauranitai Jaya Jaya Prabhupada 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 Jaya Jaya Prabhupada Jaya Jaya Prabhupada 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 Jaya Jaya Prabhupada Nityai Gaura Hari Bol Hari Bol Hari Bol Nityai Gaura Hari Bol Nityai Gaura Hari Bol Hari Bol Hari Bol Nityai Gaura Hari Bol Shri Shri Radha Gokulanand ki Jai Shri Sita Ram Lakshman Hanuman ki Jai Shri Gauranitai ki Jai Srila Prabhupada ki Jai Ki Jaya Jaya Gaurachandre Arati ka Shobha